welcome back. This is going to be everything that Bethesda showed off at Starfield Direct about spaceships and space navigation. One of the concerns I kind of had going into Starfield Direct was, is there going to be any way to kind of quickly navigate around the planet? And really, it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to. It seems like we'll be able to land anywhere once we're on the ground, and if we do stray far enough away, we can fast travel back to our ship. And one of the things they were kind of talking about with the style that they had for their spaceships was they wanted to have like a NASA punk type feel for it, like NASA kind of realistic, punk kind of a little bit more stylish. So you kind of see that in some of the early footage that they showed off. And they showed off the navigation console that you will be able to access to look at basically the planet from within the star system, and they kind of show off, you can land anywhere on the planet, or you can go to known locations and fast travel there, or you can kind of zoom out and take a look at a whole solar system and kind of look at all the planets and moons within the system and highlight a bunch of different factors to see different resources or statistics about various planets and moons. And then if you're going to be looking to do some long distance traveling, like using the warp drive, this is kind of where they did show off a little bit of going from one star system to another, and they did talk about having to upgrade your skills and your ship to utilize better equipment to go to far off places. You're not going to be able to access the whole part of the galaxy that they call it. Another interesting thing is, as you did approach this planet, you did get scanned, and my question is if you have a hostile group that is in charge of that system and they scan you and you're a threat or you're an enemy, do they just start attacking you right away? So I'm gonna be curious to see if some of that plays out in the game as well. I think that would be pretty neat. You're gonna have to really kind of watch where you're going. But for the most part, they did a really good job of just showing off how a lot of the spaceships kind of move, navigate, how they look in the game, different things that you're going to be able to do, while in your ship, if you want to communicate with other ships, dialogue, or if you need to, send a code to get past them to go on about a mission. But what's really kind of neat here as the ship's landing is the different cockpit views that they kind of show off as, the ship's landing here, and, the different ship styles, different ship names. Just very interesting how customizable it really is going to be in the game with building your own ship. Got a bunch of different systems to kind of manage as you are flying around. You're going to have to manage your own energy systems while you're flying. And if you did need to access certain services at landing pads and those kinds of things, there are NPCs for you to talk to, interact with, if you need to get a ship repaired, or if you want to modify your ship, or if you want to sell your ship, or if you want to buy another ship. You can do those kind of things. But they did do a good job of showing off a bunch of different styles of ships. You got some speedy combat ships, and then you got some freighter ships that you can use for cargo runs, smuggling runs, and I'm going to be curious to see if we do get cargo holds that can be non-scannable, if that is a thing. And then they show off this components list with all the different components that you can kind of modify in the game. And I'm going to be curious to see when we get into the game if this is going to be all the components that we can modify, because this is already quite extensive, so I can have a hard time believing that there's going to be more to it, but this is pretty cool. So you're going to have cowling, shield generators, docker. So I'm curious if you actually have to have a docker, because I would imagine maybe not, but it wouldn't allow you to dock two other ships in space. So that'd be kind of interesting. Fuel tanks, grav drive, engines, hab, weapons, and there's going to be 3 different kinds of weapons that I've noticed so far. There's going to be missiles, ballistics, and lasers. And you got your cockpit, your cargo hold, your reactor, landing gear, and your bay. So all aspects of these are supposed to be upgradable, different manufacturers. You're supposed to be able to change your color on all of these things. And even if you did get one ship, you can continue to build upon and adapt that ship to, suit your needs, and, can keep going with that base ship that you had and continue to build upon it. change it and tweak it, and even give it your own custom paint job. There's a lot that they showed off here with ships. It was just so phenomenal. And then even on the inside, it's not even just the outside and different modules that you can put, you know, build your ship from, but it's even the customization on the inside. You can customize, you know, like workbenches, you know, for weapons crafting. You can put in some racks for your weapons. So it's gonna be very interesting to see just all the different things that are gonna be able to go into not just building your ship, but then also customizing your ship on the inside, because this looks pretty phenomenal. Just pretty phenomenal. I think a lot of people were just blown away from what they showed last year to really kind of what they showed this year, and the level of depth and detail that they showed was quite substantial. So yeah, a lot of really cool and interesting, different, unique things about the spaceships. You will also be able to bring crew along with you. That's going to be crew members and companions, so you can bring both of them along with you. The only module that I've noticed that increases your crew capacity is the HAB, so that will probably be the only way to increase your crew capacity. So if you want to add in more crew members to come along with you, you're just going to have to add on more HAB modules. And it seems like taking off and landing is probably not going to be dependent upon any kind of components you put on your ship. It mostly seems like they have a set takeoff speed and landing speed, and even, you know, pattern that they do. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. It seems like that's going to be pretty much fixed. But while you're out in space, I'm kind of curious on how populated actually some of these, I guess, outer space areas are going to be. I'm sure some around maybe like some important areas, you know, they might be kind of busy. Cockpits, they're all different and they have different look. I mean, they look fantastic. Some of them have much wider views, some of them are much tighter or narrower. And here you can see them messing with the energy systems a little bit. And one thing that I thought was really kind of interesting is as you actually increase your grav drive energy, you will really decrease how quickly you are able to use your grav drive. I thought that was pretty cool when they showed that off. So really making sure you manage those systems is going to be very important. And then there's going to be skills that actually come into your spaceship and your space flight and your combat, and with them showing off the targeting control systems skill, once activated, you can see brings up different things on the enemy ship that you can then target to maybe disable the engines, maybe disable weapon systems or shields, which will then be probably the best way to then potentially dock with the enemy ship. But you're going to be able to loot from your cockpit. You won't have to get out or do anything kind of crazy. It should be like an easy kind of flyby. But as far as the spaceship area, this is the area I'm kind of most interested in, is docking with other ships and just seeing what other ships look like. Maybe even taking them over. You can add, you know, ships that you take, you can add them into your fleet, and no real number is known about, you know, your fleet size or how many ships you can have in your fleet. But any spaceport you go to, you can swap out different ships, so you don't have to have like a ship transported from across the galaxy or anything like that. It's just going to be there wherever you are, which it's kind of more of just ease of use, fun for the player, and less simmy. It seems like they're not really requiring you to do a lot of the hardcore sim piloting around certain structures and stuff like that. It seems like once you get close enough, it's like, hey, hit X to dock or hit A to hail. So I'm gonna be curious to see kind of how many different ships that we can dock with. How many, like, is it easy to dock with another ship? Or, you know, you got to do a little sweet talking to kind of get into that. But as far as like hailing other ships, seems like you're going to be able to negotiate with other spaceships just kind of flying around, or you can maybe even try to rob other ships out there. I mean, I thought that was pretty cool. It's also gonna be kind of curious to see how easy it is to disable a ship, or how that mechanic is going to work for disabling a ship to be able to board and dock it. And, you know, when you go aboard other ships, you can collect anything you can collect. But another thing that was kind of interesting was they showed off this, you know, ships have gravity, and I guess there's something on board that makes them have gravity or lets them have gravity. And then it can get disabled, or it can get disabled, which then will make it go to where it's not gravity. So I'd be curious to see if like that's certain ships, maybe certain larger ships maybe have something like that. But for the most part, it seems like I think I'm going to be a little bit more happy that they've gone probably a little bit more of the easy route, not super sim as far as spaceship flight is concerned, just for the simple fact of sometimes in those games it's fun to do that, but then it does get kind of tedious, and like, all right, I don't really care about undocking from a massive space station. I want to go do my combat mission and that kind of stuff. So I think for the most part I'm kind of happy with the direction that they've gone and what they have shown off as far as how spaceships and space combat and space navigation kind of concerned. It just seems like it's a little more easier access, easier to understand, and you don't have to be super hardcore about it. I think they really wanted to focus more on what Bethesda's known for, and that's really the very personal interaction. And another thing that you're gonna be able to do from space is scan planets, and you will be able to scan and figure out where exactly resources are across planets. But as far as showing off some of the size and customization aspects of some of the spaceships was very impressive. So that was it for the spaceships part of it, and see you in the next one.